Evening, everybody. We are going to get started. My name is Rick Howard. I'm on the board of directors for Shape PA, also on the professional development committee, and I'm excited to welcome everybody here this evening for our presentation from Erika's Lighthouse. Just wanted to tell everybody a little bit more about Shape PA in case you don't have all this information. It's a volunteer-run organization. It's people who are very passionate and happy and excited about health and physical education across Pennsylvania. So we try to provide leadership, advocacy, professional development, all the health and PE teachers across the state, but also to get your engagement. So we want to make sure that you understand what Shape PA can do for you, for professional growth, for advocacy, discounts on certain materials, journals, passion to be reignited, our Shape convention coming up in November. So got a great quote over here that Shape PA membership's more than a subscription. It's an investment and commitment to your professional growth, your student success, and the well-being of our communities. So you can see the link there. It's also on this page as well. So we're trying to make sure that everybody is a member of our organization. It just makes us stronger when things come up. You might have seen some of the recent information coming about in Pennsylvania, once again, about trying to make sports participation count for physical education credits. So we're banding together to try to stop that once again in Harrisburg. So with that, I just want to make sure that I turn it over to our presenters this evening so they can maximize their time. That's a fantastic presentation, and I'm so excited everybody's here to hear it. So I'm going to turn it over to Shantal and Deb Lawler.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the introduction. Thanks for the space. I was very happy to connect during the SHAPE conference and to get invited to do a presentation. So we're very excited. For some of you that might already be maybe a little familiar with Erika's Lighthouse or not at all, then great. We always love to add new people to the team and expand our resources. So welcome. This presentation, really, I'm going to start sharing some of my screens on here. But we're really going to talk about Erika's Lighthouse that really importantly, it's there for you and all the resources are there for you. And I think we can just ask everyone to kind of mute themselves. I just hear a little bit of background noise. Thank you so much. So let me just share here. And then maybe as I am speaking, you'll see now our logo, or maybe you came across Erika's Lighthouse. Maybe you've used us in your school. But again, if you are new, we'll give you an introduction to everything that you have available. But very importantly, we are a nonprofit, and everything that we'll talk about today is available to you for free. So my name is Shantal Saldana, and I'm the manager of school outreach. I had the awesome opportunity today to also have on the call. I'll let her introduce herself in a couple of slides. Deborah Lawlor, she is a K-12 Health and PE Department Chair in your state. So we'll hear all about someone that's been using our programs in your state. One of the things that I want to point out here on the first screen is that we have a QR code. Everything that we'll talk about today lives on that resource portal. This QR code is an opportunity for you to scan with your phone and then create a free resource portal, which is where everything will be. I will show this again at the end of the presentation, but if you do have the opportunity to just kind of catch it right now and then create a resource portal, then that's great. The other option, if you are on your computer, you can go to ericaslighthouse.org and then create a resource portal from there. There's a button that says create a resource portal. So again, I'm the manager of school outreach, and part of my job is to bring webinars and go to conferences and to just bring our mission, our messaging to teachers, to educators, to social workers, to counselors, to really every school building. We are now in 50 states and 19 different countries, so we are still expanding, and we always like to add anyone that's really a mental health champion and is bringing this information that is really crucial, especially now for youth. So some of the things that I like to share when I'm doing a presentation is what some of the things that I like to do for my mental health. And I hope that you all have something that is like your go-to when you're taking care of your mental health. For me, it is something as simple as walking my dogs. I'm currently in Chicago, so the winter, I'm not as much of a fan, but I definitely try to get my steps in and try to get my dogs out. But if not, I do choose dancing as the way for, to move my body and to get some activity. I also grew up in Mexico City and now live in Chicago, so big cities, I'm just a city girl. And love that. And then something with my background. I do have a background in psychology, but really have always worked towards the well-being of students. And I've worked in different programs, going from like pregnancy and children from age 0, and seeing the importance of mental health from from that moment, and now all the way to focusing more on youth and teens. So just very excited to continue doing some of this work. And then I'm just going to pass it on to Deb so she can do a quick introduction here.
Thank you, Chantel. Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing great. Like Chantel, I am invested in the message and really trying to decrease the stigma. And I'm here to really give the lens from a teacher who uses Erika's Lighthouse. Chantel asked me to put a couple of things on my slide as well. So again, I am the K-12 Health and PE Department Chair. I am at Lower Moreland, which is just outside of Northeast Philadelphia. Three things that I noted when I just need my time is I love to take hikes with my husband. He challenges me and just gives us an opportunity to step aside. He's also a teacher, just a time to pause in life and enjoy nature. I also really like to listen to leadership books and podcasts while I'm on my walk. I love to get educated while burning a couple calories and increasing my heart rate. And then lastly, I think something that really allows me to really connect with student athletes who might be struggling, and that is in the coaching world. So if there's any coaches on the screen, I'm sure you know exactly what I mean. You get to see them outside the classroom, and they really start to form connections with coaches in this powerful time of our lives. And I'm blessed to coach both field hockey and lacrosse, and it brings me joy working with those student athletes. So Chantel, thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to learning and then maybe answering questions from any teachers that are new or are thinking about it. So thank you.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Now, I think I lied and I said I had it one more time, but I actually have it an additional time on here. That same QR code, again, with ericaslighthouse.org. This is what our front page of the website looks like, and you'll just click on the yellow button that says register for free access. So just to begin, we wanted to bring this topic of skills-based education, around educating students around depression, around suicide, and just around starting with mental health, right? We know that early identification of students is critical. 15 to 20% of young people we know will have a major depressive episode before adulthood. So that's nearly, when you're looking at a group of youth, like 1 out of 5, right? We know that 50% of those will have symptoms by the age of 14. And this is again, crucial age. You see these kids every single day. So we know that young people spend so much time at schools, and this is why schools are particularly positioned to be able to identify students early. And then all of you as health educators have just like a very, very special role in helping with this. When we bring programs and we talk about everything that we have for students, one of the main missions is really just to get everyone to understand that not only everyone deserves good mental health, but really that something like depression is a mood disorder. It's very real, and it's also very common. Again, 15 to 20% of young people will struggle with depression before they reach adulthood. We also want everyone to know and take away that it's very serious, as we know that 90 to around 98% of suicide are a result of a diagnosable mental health illness, the vast majority of time being depression. And then we like to teach our young people that everyone really just deserves good mental health, and that there definitely is hope out there. We want them to know that you are there, that they have trusted adults they can go to, that there is help available for them. Unfortunately, we see this very often, and I'm sure all of you being health educators have come across many articles, conversations, day-to-day events that show us that youth are experiencing a mental health crisis. But we want to make sure that we all understand that we can do something about it, and that's kind of like, the positive message that we want to bring, that you are very crucial and can truly make a difference. So, the other good news is that we know that children are resilient, and there are ways that we can help. I'm not going to add too many statistics to our presentation today, but really the one that I did want to pull out here is the recent data that we know on youth risk behavior survey data from the CDC, where, as you can see here, when we're comparing kind of like 10 years, 2013 to 2023, things have not really changed too much. And also, not in the direction that we really want those to be. I think from 2021 to 2023, we saw a little bit of a decrease in those students that were feeling like persistent feelings of sadness or hopelessness, but we really want to see a bigger change. For the rest of the things that were measured, like students experiencing poor mental health, seriously consider attempting suicide, making suicide plans, attempting suicide. We haven't seen the change that we want to. So that's why we're here today. We can all do a little extra, bring things to our youth, whether that's just in your role as a health educator presenting curriculum or just really helping make those connections. Like I was saying, sometimes just school connectedness is very important, making those students understand that you're a trusted adult. If that's going to be your role, that's very important as well, making sure that we all have eyes, that we all can really recognize signs and symptoms of adolescent depression so that we can all work together. So again, this chart really summarizes the current status of youth mental health. But that's why it's very important that we kind of talk about when we're bringing education, why it's so important, and also why we need to take this upstream approach, which is through Erika's Lighthouse programs. We focus on that. We focus on that early identification as prevention, because we do know that depression continues to be the most common mental health disorder among teens. As you can see, the rates are staying the same or rising. So we like to take this upstream approach because students are there, they're receiving health education, and they're spending many times with peers. This is why we also educate peers on, speaking out and going to trusted adults, helping other peers. We know that around, again, 90 to 98% of youth suicides involve a mental health illness, the most common being depression. And that's why you'll hear kind of through the presentation and the programs that we do depression education, right? And then we also know that around 80% of youth with depression will go unrecognized and untreated. But the good news is that out of those that actually receive some treatment and have contact with a mental health specialist or just support, the majority is through school. So that's why, again, schools are just, so important. We have so many different resources on there, but out of those students, there are some that will never make it to get outside services that will really just be identified and help within schools. Now, there are so many young people who struggle with depression, and while suicide is actually rare, when it happens, it really is tragic, and it affects more than, just a family. We know the whole community, right? So when we do lose a child to suicide in the school community, it's truly a tragedy. So I like to show this chart just kind of representing a school of around 2,000 students, where the dot in the middle represents a suicide, a loss, a student loss. So if you see right there, kind of in the red circle, we see that out of those 2,000 students, about 9% or 180 of them, we know will attempt suicide. Then surrounding that in the yellow circle, we see that around 20% or 400 of those students seriously consider suicide. Then if you see the blue, kind of like the blue surrounding, it would be around 40% of students or around 800 of them who report symptoms of depression. And then when asked, about 70% of students, so that's 1,400 students, believe that anxiety and depression are serious problems among their peers. Now, for the same question, 96% of them believe that depression and anxiety are problems among their peers. So perhaps they don't identify them as serious problems, but they definitely see them every day with their peers. So, we know that not everyone who struggles or all depressed kids are going to attempt suicide, but really by being aware, we're talking about depression, right? We're reducing that stigma that still is surrounding mental health. We're really focusing on identifying struggling students before they would get to the point of something like taking their lives. So classroom programs really offer that one piece that is within the larger school mental health and suicide prevention model. So the programming really helps the school. It supports other educators. It supports the mental health staff. And again, peers and educators are a really big piece of this. If you are not at all familiar with Erika's Lighthouse, we have a ton of tools, a ton of resources we continue adding, and we really, love that we can continue supporting schools and meeting a lot wherever they need it. So the basic kind of introduction to Erika's Lighthouse, I'd like to show this slide because we have 4 pillars that you'll see in the middle. We have classroom education, of course, for health educators. This is the piece that we most use. But then within a building, there are other things and supports that we can do to really support that are teaching the classroom education. So we have empowerment gloves. This is really crucial when we're teaching skills-based education. We really need them to be able also to practice what they're learning, right? Practice those skills is very important. So we do have empowerment clubs where students are given the space to really practice, just things around mental health, around positivity, around building school connectedness. Then we also have family engagements because, as we know, families are very important. They're a very important piece overall, but they're a very important piece when it comes to supporting mental health. And then also we have staff training. And this pillar, we really believe it's important because this is where sometimes we assume that maybe more people are comfortable with mental health, and they're really not even comfortable with conversations. We might have some educators that are really not as comfortable being trusted adults or knowing what to do. So the staff training really provides an opportunity for everyone to have the same language, for everyone to feel comfortable with the conversations, and to know specifically protocols for your school or anything that really needs to be available, so again that staff members can be that supportive person for a student in a building. We also have other additional things that we call wraparound supports, but we have a great data center that we just added where we can really see data right away for pre and post surveys for all of our classroom curriculums and for all of the other pillars. We also have strategic alignments. We have school-wide campaigns that, again, help build this connectedness with not only peer-to-peer, but really every adult in the building and students. So again, we have a ton. Mostly today, I'll focus on that classroom education, but everything is available to you on that resource portal. So now for our classroom education, we start in 4th grade and we go all the way through 12th. And we divide this education in 3 different levels. So again, some of you maybe have come across Erika's Lighthouse, or maybe you're currently using something else, and it might be similar. The way that we have it set up is in a way that it's very flexible. We have some suggested grade levels on there, but by all means, if there is something that your students need or that you need to be switch around, or what they're ready for, I think we just encourage the flexibility and for you to utilize the curriculum in whatever best way it serves your students. So we have 3 different levels. The first level we believe is ideal for 4th through 6th. Again, that is up to you and your building and your team. It is available, or all of them are available in Spanish and in English. And then the level 1, we can start in 4th grade. It's just an introduction to mental health education. With those earlier grades in many schools, what we see before 4th grade is a lot of SEL curriculum. So there's a lot of things that we can kind of step above SEL, right? We're able to leverage everything around social and emotional skills that are often learned through these SEL programs. But now we're adding some things to understand or begin understanding mental health, such as the difference between everyday feelings and overwhelming feelings. So that difference on there. We also introduce help seeking and then good mental health practices. So level 2, then, we believe is ideal for 5th through 9th, but you know your students best. And this is where we introduce depression. We introduce signs and symptoms of depression, and again, keep a really strong focus on help seeking and good mental health. And then the last one, again, all these available in Spanish and in English. And then the last one being depression education. So it does continue talking about signs and symptoms, reminding students around all of these topics, but then we're adding suicide awareness with it. Again, strong focus on help seeking, trusted adults, and overall how to have good mental health with different practices and opportunities for them to be able to practice that. So all of the programs are approved under the Suicide Prevention Resource Center Best Practice Registry. And I believe if we're not the only, one of the only free programs listed there. So what I want to do is, I want to show you just a snippet of some of the videos. I'll show you the full level one video because it is one of the shorter ones. And this one, let me just pull it up here, make sure it's just share audio. This is what you would present to the students. All of our programs are video based, and then it comes with materials for the students. But this is exactly what the students would see. And if you can just confirm that you can see it and also hear it, if anyone can help me out with that. Can you hear that?
Shantal, we can see it, but we cannot hear it.
Let me see what I need to. I'll try to switch my screen to this screen here. I apologize. There's always something. Let's try this.
Not yet.
No, that is one thing that we did not expect. It was not going to share. Let me see. I am much of a Google Meets more than I am a Zoom. Here we go.
Perfect, even if in reality they aren't.
Great, Shantal.
Good.
You can't tell how someone feels by just looking at them, or what they share online with the outside world. Our lives may look perfect, even if in reality they aren't. I'm always worrying about doing well in school, and with tests coming up, I'm not sure how much longer I can cope. My thoughts swarm around my head, sometimes keeping me up all night. Some days it's just all too much, and I feel lost in space. When I did badly on one of my tests, I just about kept it together until I got home. Then I broke down crying in front of my mom. She listened for a bit, and then she told me that just like physical health, we all have mental health. It's our feelings, our thinking, our emotions, and our moods. She then said that feeling down, angry, and stressed is a normal part of life, just like it's normal to feel happy, confident, and carefree sometimes. We all have positive and negative emotions that come and go based on what's happening around us. These are everyday feelings. Good mental health also means experiencing negative emotions. It's not always about being happy. Mom can relate to the feeling of stress. When Mom suggested I take a break from everything and do something I enjoy, I actually took her advice. So I made myself a hot chocolate, snuggled up in a blanket, and watched a movie. And you know what? Afterwards, I felt so much better. Mom should take her own advice.
Most of us only ever share the good things. We don't like to share how we really feel. Every morning when I wake up, negative thoughts stream through my head. Getting out of bed and pretending I'm okay takes all the energy I have. As the day goes on, the negative thoughts turn from a stream into a river. Water rushes through my head so loudly it's hard to concentrate in class. And some days it's so bad it feels like a waterfall that's trying to pull me over the edge. Everything is so overwhelming. I didn't think my friends would understand if I told them how down I was feeling. But when Sasha opened up to me about how stressed she was feeling, I told her. I wasn't sure how to bring up how I've been feeling, so I started by saying that I didn't feel like myself. Just her listening made me feel like she understood. She told me some things that had helped her, so I tried them too, but it didn't make much of a difference. Even when I tried to be around my friends, I felt alone. The things I used to enjoy weren't fun anymore.
I was really worried about Andre and not sure what to do. He was quiet and wasn't hanging out with us like he used to, so I asked our teacher for some advice. He suggested that I get Andre to speak to him, since his negative feelings weren't going away.
I didn't want to speak to an adult, but I also didn't want to keep feeling so down, so I went. He said that sometimes we have overwhelming feelings that can be more intense than our everyday feelings. These feelings hang around for a long time and change the way we feel, think, and behave. They can stop us from doing what we want to in life. That's what I was going through. He also said that if we're physically unwell, we let people know. We ask for help. It should be no different with mental health. Sometimes our overwhelming feelings are brought on because of things in our life. Sometimes they happen for no reason at all. After hearing this, I felt much less alone, and it felt good to talk. Scientists have found exercise can help when you're feeling low. So, my teacher encouraged me to sign up to the school soccer team, which Sasha was already in. I still have days when the river is there, but now I'm beginning to understand my mental health. I'm coping with my emotions and seeing a mental health professional. My teacher reminded me that my friends, my family, teachers, and lots of others at school are there to help just as much as he is. I had no idea that people around me could be so understanding, and while it's not always easy to talk about my mental health, the person I'm talking to might be able to help. If you don't feel like talking, that's fine. You could try writing, sports, reading, art, music, playing with your pet, whatever makes you feel better.
If you're the person someone talks to when they're struggling, just listen, with no pressure or judgments. You don't have to have an answer. If you feel unsure about anything, you can speak to a trusted adult. Talking about mental health doesn't have to be difficult. It's something we all need to take care of, just like our bodies.
All right, so that was the level one video. That is exactly what the students watch in the program. And now let me just go back and share my slides again. Glad we were able to get that sound on. All right, so when you are teaching a level one, which is this first program. That's the video that you have access to through the resource portal. And then from there, you're going to have a couple of options because, again, we like to be very flexible and make sure that everything, kind of like fits your needs. So we do have two options, and this is the same for all of the levels. We have a full program. What we call the full program is made up of 4 lessons. There are 3 lessons, with the last one being more of an assessment for the students. Now, this full program is meeting the National Health Education Standards. So they will, right here, I have meeting the health standard 1, 3, and 7. Each of these are listed on the facilitator instructions if that's something that you're looking for. Now, let's say you don't have the time to teach, the 4 lessons, each one being about 35 to 40 minutes. So it's enough time, enough to do it in like a class period. But if you don't, then we also have a 1-day lesson that's available. That lesson takes, again, 35 to 40 minutes. Of course, it's less extended than the full program, but it has all of the great information that the students would need. It has the same video, and then it has the handouts vary a little bit. So, but you do have available to you is your facilitator instructions that come with a script for each of the slides on the slideshow that you'll get. And the slideshow, again, very flexible. If there's something you want to add on there that you feel like is missing, or something that particularly that will catch your students' attention, you can edit these as you wish. So you'll just make a copy of it, and then kind of, if you want to put your school logo or personalize that. We also have some exit tickets. Again, just kind of reminding students and having them practice a little bit around what they learn, how they're feeling after the lesson. These are optional for you to use, but definitely available. And then we also have a student bookmark reminding students some of the positive coping strategies that they can use for their mental health, and then some other information like tips. So these are, again, optional for you every time you're teaching. For the level 2, This one, if you have used Erika's Lighthouse in the past, this last school year, we were able to add 3 new student stories. For this one, let me try again, make sure this is sharing. I'm only going to show you a small clip. But what's important to know from level 2 and from level 3 is that for these 2 levels, we have real students with real stories. They are not scripted. These are their stories around depression, how it came into their life, and also how it came about, who helped them, and then how they continue now having good mental health. So I'll just show you one of the videos that is available as a snippet, and then let's try this again. Let me make sure that I share the audio here. And you can hear it? Okay, perfect. Make this available to you in a full screen.
I learned that depression was something that I struggled with for a long time, and it's something that I'm gonna still continue to struggle with. It's just that when I go through these depressive episodes, I'm gonna be able to cope with it better. I'm able to use the strategies that I have, and I'm gonna be able to work through these patterns and break through them. I started trying to get back into the hobbies that I missed the most. One of the things that helped me was photography. And it's like one of my unhealthy coping skills that I love doing every day. I love reading, and it's been one of the things that's made me happy, so I just always kept with it. I learned that having depression is something that I'm always gonna deal with if I talk to people when I need it, and if I talk to the people around me, let them know that I'm going through these issues, then it's gonna be fine. Now, since I'm able to take care of myself, I'm able to be there for other people when they really need it.
This was Lindsay just talking about her coping strategies. Each one of the students actually has different clips that they talk about where they share about their signs and symptoms, how those came about in their own story, a little bit around help seeking, and then also coping strategies. What's really nice about this one is that with all of the students for the level 2 and also for the level 3, you do get to choose the students that your students hear from. So some schools particularly like pick and choose which stories if they feel like that resonates more with their students, but some others like to let the students pick with a little summary who they want to hear, or which one they want to use, like how they want to do the curriculum. So some choices on there for you. Again, each of these students are new and added, so if you used the curriculum in the past. But for the level 2, we are going to hear about depression, recognizing signs and symptoms, and it's going to have a very similar format where you'll be able to see the videos or the little segments of those, and then you're going to have facilitator instructions. You're going to have student workbooks for this one to select the stories, and also your full slideshow with a script on every one of the slides. And then some optional, in this case, we are calling them self-referral cards. They're not exit tickets. They are self-referral cards. And there are some best practices when using the self-referral cards if you choose to use them. We believe it's best that you communicate with your mental health team, whatever that looks like in your building, so that they know that you're going to be passing the self-referral cards and that there might be some students that want to come to them to talk. So what the self-referral card options are is, I'd like to talk to a trusted adult in the next 24 hours. I'd like to talk to a trusted adult in the next week, or I don't need to talk to a trusted adult. So another best practice is each one of the students get these. Not only those who want to turn one in, but really each one of the students would get one of these. Then you would collect them, and then you would get them to that mental health team as soon as you can. So of course, we recommend not on a Friday afternoon that you implement the program, or not before a big break, because we are asking some students if they want to talk to someone. And a lot of the times it won't even be maybe about themselves, but if they recognize something in a peer and they might be concerned, they might still ask to talk to a trusted adult to come and seek some help. So These are optional, just as is the student bookmark that comes with it that lists the signs and symptoms of adolescent depression, together with some helpful tips around good mental health. So same format where we have the full program that meets the National Health Education Standards, with each lesson being around 40 to 45 minutes. Or if you all just have one day to teach, we do have a one-day lesson that also runs 40 to 45 minutes. These are all of the wonderful students that are in our curriculum that you can choose from. And then we have level 3. Level 3 has some of those same students. In some cases, it's the same students, but once they're a little bit older. And then this continues the education around depression, but also introduces suicide, introduces signs and symptoms of suicides and how those are very similar. It also strong focus on help seeking, on finding those trusted adults, and then good mental health. Same format where we have all of those facilitator instructions, student workbooks, and everything. And then we have that self-referral card that is optional to you. If you want to utilize it, same best practices. Full program available for this one as well, and then a one-day lesson. One of the things that I do like to point out that you might be familiar with other curriculum is that Erika's Lighthouse is best taught in a classroom setting with your, it could be like your 7th graders, your 8th graders per class, as opposed to some other curriculums that might be more in an auditorium style. There are optional program additions if you want to extend the learning, if you feel like your students are really, into and continue the conversations. Of course, the more conversations, the more we're reducing stigma in the building, and we're creating an environment where it's just, mental health friendly. So there are some additional worksheets. There's a Jeopardy game that's really fun to play. There's also text from a friend simulator. As we know, often our youth really like to text, and that's how they primarily communicate many times. So this is just like a pretending texting a friend, where they get to choose which one are the best answers to help a peer that needs some help. And of course, these are skills based because we want to make sure that not only we're presenting the skill, we're modeling, we're also practicing. So the curriculum has that opportunity for students to actually practice what they're learning, which we know is very, very important. And then we also have other little activities that we call recharge. There are 5-minute activities that you can introduce, and this is for you to do anytime during the school year, just reminding students how important it is to take a break. The 5 minutes can really boost your mental health anytime you need it. So these are available. You can pull it up on your phone if you're like outdoors with the students, or you can pull it up just on a regular board in the classroom. So typically, we, have our curriculum be, taught through you and health educators. However, it can also be during advisory or homeroom. That all depends on your building. But we believe that it's ideal when a health educator can teach, and also, is together with a mental health staff person, just again, because when we're using things like the referral cards, we want to make sure that we're creating a safe environment where students are getting to maybe talk to a trusted adult, and that make sure that that trusted adult is ready to have that conversation and ready and knows the protocol for the building. And now I'm actually gonna pass it on to Deborah, and then Deborah can tell us a little bit about her experience utilizing Erika's Lighthouse.
Great. I will not be that long, but always feel free. I can even share my email address if you want to ask some questions later. I would be more than happy to do that. But again, I just wanted to give an idea from my lens of how I put Erika's Lighthouse into play in my senior health classes, in which it's been a delightful addition. I started using Erika Lighthouse in the COVID years when I was virtually learning and really trying to figure out how I can use something reliable, standards, and skills-based that would be a benefit to my students in a new world of learning. And Erika's Lighthouse really stepped up for us. And the other part I want to just mention, and you can tell by Shantal's passion about it, is they do reach out to you on a regular basis once you do sign up and you're on the portal of how they can help. And they do keep continual correspondence with some upcoming celebrations that we have, such as May is Mental Health Awareness Month and the like. So it's ongoing communication. So a shout out to them. back to how I use it as a health educator. The best thing is it's very easy to access once you create that portal. And like Shantal explained, there's different levels. And of course, I'm at the high school, so I do use the level 3. And with the level 3, it is flexible and it is turnkey. So everything there is everything that is in need is there for you, from reading the layout of it to the actual handouts that you would give the students. So again, it's turnkey. It is a step-by-step approach, which I do like. And with that, like Shantal mentioned, you can kind of plug and play what you need. If you need an a la carte, if it's a full curriculum, or if you're just going to do a day or two, you can go ahead into that and then pull out what you need, which is amazing. My levels and experience with the students is on target. We've done some other sources for our school, and we found that our kids were ahead of the game, meaning that the knowledge was already taught in previous years. But with Erika's Lighthouse, it's on target for us, and we really do appreciate that. We love the 4-pillar approach. Shantal and I did speak earlier about that. Currently, we only use the classroom experience, but we are looking to expand our horizons and start to use maybe 1 or 2 other pillars, just to kind of get that surrounding to our students so they have that in all facets of their day. I did mention that as standards-based. If you're in a school setting, and one of the first questions that they're going to ask you, of course, when you put things such as curriculum into play is it standards-based? So feel comfort in that. The student feedback is delightful. It's a great stepping stone. One of the biggest things that we talk about in our mental health unit is really having the confidence and the ability to comfortably be able to have hard conversations. And Erika's Lighthouse gives us that stepping stone to open up dialogue in the classroom. And that's where the learning is going to take place. And that's when students are going to feel more comfortable in outreaching, knowing when they need that support from more than they can handle at the time. And then, as I mentioned, that ongoing communication is delightful. If you ever have a question, the response time is less than 24 hours. I don't want to say that always, but they've always been very helpful if I have a question or if there's a portal question. So the value add for a free program is incredible. And I wanted to make sure, again, as a teacher lens, that you heard the simplicity of it, the value of it, and the ongoing support from it is second to none. So again, if you ever wanted to hear how I really put it into my classroom, I'm only an email away. But I just wanted to give you an overview of the powerfulness of Erika's Lighthouse. Shantal, thank you for letting me take part of this. I appreciate you.
No, thank you. I think educator voice is just so important as a student voice, right? So we always try to make sure that we have a space for it, just because you are the ones that are there every day. You're the ones that have to teach the curriculum. So it's always nice to see and hear from someone, this works. Like, this truly is, being fits into a classroom session. This truly is engaging for students. I think that's very important. We also have a feedback information kind of guy where, like, we are hearing from educators. We often get like testimonials from educators, and try to build curriculum and make it as easy as we can for you. And again, continue adding, because we also know that this is a tough crowd, right? The age is a tough crowd. We teach them the same thing, maybe back to back, and don't switch it up just a little bit. We might hear from them. So again, that's why the flexibility. You also know your students and how they learn, and we want to make sure that that's all available, and that it could be, we can help you and support you and give you a few things that you can pull from the resource portal, but also you can add your own. I heard from a district out in, I think they're in Kentucky, where they like to add video, like a video clip at the end. This is a school counselor, I believe, that teaches from very artists, right, that are just like popular right now, where they talk about their mental health. So, she adds that, and that really captures the students at the end. So whatever you need. to kind of do. Now, I want to pause and have, I have a question slide on here. I did want to just, briefly touch on the other pillars, but I want to make sure that we have all the questions down for the classroom education piece. So feel free to, I think you can come off the mic, but also you can add it to the chat so I can keep an eye on the chat here if anyone has any questions. We'll give it a second here. Or again, you can all just come off the mic. I don't see anything just yet, so please do add it. But with that, I'm just going to move on. The next pillar we have is the empowerment clubs. The very important things about the empowerment clubs, and it's a basic kind of layout of those. For empowerment clubs, again, these are really the space that we're giving students to practice those skills. These clubs are not like a therapy club or anything like that. It's just students coming together, practicing what they've learned in their building and creating a space where they are sharing about positivity, where they're sharing about mental health, where they're sharing about where to find trusted adults. We have official Erika's Lighthouse clubs where we as Erika's Lighthouse fund your school up to $500. There's a $500 reimbursement for activities for the clubs. There are some activities that they'll need materials, and of course they need snacks for their meetings and things like that. So there is that money available for an official Erika's Lighthouse Club. Now we have over 72 activities that are bilingual, Spanish, English, and range from elementary, middle school, and high school that are appropriate kind of for each of the buildings around mental health. So they can pick, but it can also make their own. Many students just, take the space and run with it. And there are many activities that are on our site because there was a club that created the activity and we just adopted it. So it's really, really fun to get some pictures from those clubs. And then the other option is the affiliate clubs. If your school is already doing something similar, there are sometimes it might be like a key club already going on, or like a good mental health club, or a positivity club, or anything like that. If this is just a club that already meets and it's already kind of set up, then you can use all of Erika's Lighthouse resources. Pick and choose how many you want to do in the school year, and that's fine. The only thing that doesn't come with the affiliate club is that reimbursement fee. But some of the topics that the activities fall under are mindful moments, so mindful activities, the You're Not Alone reminders, again, creating that environment around hope and around school connectedness, and making sure that peers know that their peers care about them, and that also their educators not only care about their grades, but really about them as people, and what they like and who they are. So we're building that in the environment, right? We also have positivity promoters. There are many times in the school year where if you're just a mental health champion and an educator, you don't have to create a club. Just grab one of our activities and implement it with your classroom, implement it in your building, promote positivity, maybe around testing times where students, are very stressed. There's also education efforts where we actually, put education around depression, around suicide. We put the 988 number on the hallway. Whatever that looks like, there are some of those activities that can be used throughout the building. We also have a column not Cortner, sorry, my apologies for the misspelling there, but there are aids for anxiety and stress, activities that really help create that environment. Again, there are stressful times during the school year where we can definitely use some of these activities, and then some advocacy efforts, and these are students that are really helping whether it's your school use a curriculum or maybe create a club, or just they're advocating around mental health and activities. Here's just some pictures from some of our clubs. This activity is called Follow the Footprints. This one's really great to help lead students into the offices or the classrooms of a trusted adult. There are little footprints. They're pre-filled with mental health information, but they're also just blank, so you can put anything that you want on there. And they really, you put them on the hallway and they really lead into a trusted adult. We want to make sure that every student has a trusted adult, someone they can go to. This, of course, can be in the community. This can be at home, but also many times they are found in the building. So we want to make sure we're creating this awareness and inviting students to, go to the school nurse or the school social worker or the school counselor or their coach. This is another activity where it's just, we call them encourage mints. All you need is, there's a little printout, there's some mints, and we just want to encourage students around different times in the school year where they just need that little extra boost. Again, creating that school connectedness from peer to peer. And then we have some other activities that I think they just go a little bit deeper. This one is how full is your cup? Really making kind of that connection with sometimes, our stress level. And we can offer, hot chocolate or tea or, lemonade if it's like summertime. But this one comes with a little like stencil that can be printed out or drawn in some cups for students to share how full is their cup? How full do they feel like their cup is? And this, students, but also educators can participate in. And there you can see on here, just even from the picture, there's many sticky notes around kind of the area where it's like overwhelmed, overloaded. This really creates empathy in the building. It creates a conversation of what, maybe it's a stressful time around the school year. Maybe it's not, but it really creates an empathy too, because we don't know what others are going through. And I think this really, really, really helps the school environment. Other very important part of this conversation, another important group is families. So family engagement, caregivers, we have a ton of tools. So you might not be the specific person that has to, share these with families, but definitely bring this back to a school counselor, to a social worker, to a wellness coordinator, whatever is available in your building. We do have workshops that are here we go. There's 3 workbooks also. There's a series around mental health, what to be concerned about if you're concerned about your child. And then the 3rd workbook talks about getting help and helps with things like navigating the insurance world, what to ask insurance, how to find a therapist, what are the definitions of, different types of treatments. So it really helps students with a lot of the language around mental health. And then there's 2 family workshops. There's one that's we all have mental health, and then the second one that goes into depression and suicide. These are all in Spanish. They're all in English. They're pre-recorded so that they can be shared as links, but also they can be hosted in-house where whoever is hosting in school can actually get all the slides and all the script and everything they would need to host. So again, here's the 3 family workbooks, the 2 workshops, and then we also have some activities that can be sent home to work on mental health at home, and then some bookmarks with all of the above on them as QR codes so that parents can just access that at their own timing. And then staff training. This is, just really meant to be super easy. It takes about 45 minutes to an hour. The staff training you can do as an individual and just go in there. There are signs and symptoms covered, helping a student, and also crisis intervention. This is through an LMS system, and you get a certificate at the end. This also can be hosted as a group setting. So some districts do a district-wide. Some buildings just do all of their staff in their building. Or again, you can go in there as an individual and just take the training. This morning we received, I believe it's from Minnesota, from an educator that was just sharing, how good she felt after let me see if I can pull it up really quick here. She said, I need to tell you how excellent your training is. 2 years ago, I lost my first student to suicide. I was devastated. I didn't know the signs. I didn't know how to help. If I would have seen the signs, I felt helpless. I would have paid for your training. I'm sharing with fellow teachers and my administration. Then she just said, thank you for being a source of hope. So of course, we love hearing that. Just for an educator, we know that not everyone is comfortable with having mental health conversations. Not everyone has all those, signs and symptoms fresh on their mind. So we really feel like this is very, very important. So if you have the time to do the staff training, please go ahead. Or if you have, the power to kind of advocate to bring this into your building, we believe that it really can make a difference. Data center available to you to capture any. So if you're doing classroom curriculum, you can catch the pre and the post data for students and really see like instantly after, I think it's within 24 hours that the data shows up. How much the students are learning. So you can see that back to back. And then, with that, make those adjustments or recommendations or, expand it into other grades. So just available to you and to any school, with also other things and other data that can be collected building wide. So again, I'm going to put the QR code here if you didn't already have the opportunity to scan that. It is ericaslighthouse.org. And then I'll leave just some of these last minutes for questions. I know Deborah says she can also answer some questions if you have anything specific. I'm going to put my email address here. Always reach out. Again, we're a small team up in Winnetka area. It's like North Shore, Chicago, but we can always jump on a one-on-one virtual call with you to speak specifically about the needs for your school. So with that, I'll open it up for questions, maybe in the chat, maybe.
Yeah, there's nothing in the chat yet, but we're certainly monitoring it to see what's going on. So hopefully somebody has a question to either unmute and ask or to type in to the chat. This has been fantastic. I've gotten a lot of great information.
Great. Yes, I know it's like I feel like I'm speaking a lot, but I really just want you all to take all this information and use what you need, use what you can, and always feel like you can reach out if you have any questions. Once you explore the research portal, there's a ton in there. So I think maybe some questions will come, after we explore that. One of the things that I like to do, let me see if I can do it really quick here, is show you the back end, maybe, that's very helpful. This is how you can navigate your portal. Once you create a resource portal, I'll have welcome and then your name. And then after that, I don't have one, I'm not tied to a school, but you'll have a school ID and a district ID, which this is the numbers that's helpful if you want to use that data center. So there's no recognizable information on there. It just goes with a school ID and district ID number. And then everything is, here's a data center. The first little box here is a report on impact. This is how we stay free. So every time you use our curriculum, we just ask you to fill out that report on impact form. That's very important for us to know what you used and how many students we reached. Right now, we just went over our 800,000 student mark for this school year only. We start at 0 every school year. Our goal, is to get us to as many students, but really this is the information that our great individual donors like to see and continue supporting us and continue keeping us free. So it's the only thing we ever ask from you. Fill in your report on impact form, let us know the impact. And then just really easy, as you can see here, it's like each of the pillars, whatever you're using, your classroom education piece, you can kind of scroll and go to the level that you want, and some of the optional program additions, and everything is just laid out for you. So hopefully there are some implementation plans and video to help you, train you on how to use the curriculum. And then here's everything in a link. And if you need the Spanish portion of it, it's just on the right side. So, but with that, thank you so much for having us. Thank you so much. Just we're here. It's Mental Health Awareness Month, so I'm just really grateful for the space.
Well, thank you, Deb. Thank you as well for sharing with us today. And we will get a recording of this for all of the participants who are here today. You'll also get Act 48 credits. We also had a request for a certificate of attendance, and we'll make sure we get that to you as well. So please, everybody, share the good news of what Shantal and Deb were able to share with you today to really help, especially during Mental Health Awareness Month, and see how we can keep this going. So thank you both so much for taking your time. Thank you for everybody for being here on the call today. If there are no further questions, enjoy your evening and the summer for most people who are just about ready to wind down soon. So thank you, everybody. Have a good one. Appreciate you being here this evening.
Thank you, Chantal. Thank you, Rick. I appreciate both of you.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah.